Welcome to part 3 of our series on starting your own online beauty and wellness education academy. In the last session, we explored how Google Classroom can simplify classroom management, streamline communication, and provide tools to enhance your teaching. Today, we're going one step further and diving into how to use Google Classroom to create and host your course. Whether you're teaching advanced skincare techniques, spa management, or wellness practice, this session will show you how to design, deliver, and manage your training content all within this powerful and free tool. And by the end of the session, you'll know exactly how to build a well-structured course that engages your students and helps them to achieve their learning goals. So if you're here, it's because you're ready to share your knowledge and expertise by creating a professional online course. Maybe you spent years perfecting your craft as a beauty therapist, a spa manager, or wellness professional. And now you want to teach others. Or perhaps you're looking for a free, user-friendly platform to help you organize and deliver your course content. This session is perfect for you. If you're ready to structure your course professionally, include engaging elements like videos and live sessions, and create seamless learning experience for your students, you're absolutely in the right place, and I can't wait to show you how Google Classroom can help you bring your vision to life. In today's session, we'll cover some key steps to creating a professional course in Google Classroom. First, we'll discuss how to structure a course, breaking it down into manageable topics. Next, we'll move on to preparing your course for Google Classroom. This includes planning your topics, deciding on your materials, and incorporating engagement strategies. We'll also highlight an important note about Google Classroom and its commercial usage. Finally, we'll dive into the demo on how to create and host your course in Google Classroom. I'm going to walk you through step by step on the topics, adding multimedia, and so much more. And by the end of the session, you'll have the tools and strategies you need to start building your own course in Google Classroom. So let's get started. It's important to understand the key components of a course. First, you need to decide how to structure your course. Will it be organized into lessons, modules, or units? In Google Classroom, these structures will translate into topics that make it easier for your students to navigate. Each topic should have an introduction to provide an overview of what the students will be learning. For example, a module on facial massage techniques might start with a video introduction and a handout on the benefits of massage. And don't forget to add engagement elements. This could be videos demonstrating techniques, quizzes to test knowledge, polls to gather student feedback. Assessments are another important component. Think about how you measure students' progress. Will it be through reflection, questions, practice activities, or peer reviews? Lastly, include resources like guides, templates, additional reading materials to support your students. These elements will create a well-rounded and engaging course experience. So before jumping into Google Classroom, preparation is key. Start by planning your topics and materials. This helps you to stay organized and ensures a smooth setup. Think about the types of content you want to include. Videos, handouts, or even quizzes. For example, a video demonstrating the technique can pair perfectly with a practice guide. So you want to organize your resources for each module, like downloadable PDFs or external links for further reading. And don't forget engagement. Plan activities like polls or discussion questions to keep your students involved. A well-prepared course is a successful one. Before moving into the demo, I want to highlight a really important note about Google Classroom about using it for your course. So Google Classroom is designed primarily for educational use, meaning it's perfect for managing your course content, engaging students, and teaching effectively. However, it does not come with a commercial license, so it cannot be used to sell your courses unless you have additional permission. With that in mind, think of Google Classroom as a tool to manage and deliver your training rather than a platform for course sales. Now that we've covered all of that, it's time to create your Google Classroom and create your course. So I'll see you over in Google Classroom. So before we begin creating our course, let's first make sure we're logged into our Google account. So to access Google Classroom, you need to go to your Google homepage, which you can see I'm on right now, and you need to click on the 9 dots. But the main thing, the way you would know you're logged in, is if here on the right hand side your profile image is logged in. So if you're not signed in, it will say sign in. Then once you're logged in, what you might see on your end is there may be an initial, but if you placed an image in your Google account, you see the image that you see in my one just here. Okay, so we know that we're logged in. So now to access Google Classroom, we want to go to the 9 dots, also known as the Google Apps menu, just here. And then in there you want to click it, and then you need to scroll down to find Google Classroom. And sometimes it's towards the bottom half. And here it is, Google Classroom. You click on that, and this will take you directly into your Google Classroom. So if you're new to Google Classroom, this is where all your classes will be organized. Now, let's create a new class specifically for your course. So in order to do that, you need to go towards your profile image. You see where there's a plus sign, and when you hover just near it, it says create or join a class. So if this was for your students, they would click here to join and you send them a code. As we're creating a class, we're going to click and then click create class. You'll then see a screen asking you to enter some details about your class. Or first and foremost, you just need to agree to some of the terms and conditions. So I'm going to click here and continue. So in this box, what you want to do is create a class name. You want to make sure that it's short, simple, and clear so your students can easily recognize it. For example, you could call it Skincare Mastery or Advanced Techniques, which I'm going to do right now. And then next, if you'd like to, you can also add a description to give your students more context about the course. For example, you might want to include details such as this course focuses on mastering facial cleansing, massage techniques, but you don't really need to. I'm going to actually just place here, it's going to be for advanced. So for example, let's say your course is for beginners, you might add beginners in here. So that's why I'm entering that, and then I'm going to click create to set it up. So now that we've created our classroom, you'll be taken to your main dashboard for your class. At the top, you'll see several tabs: stream, classwork, people, and grades. By default, you'll be placed in the stream tab because it's the first one. If you missed part 2 of this series, that's where we went over these tabs in detail. We're going to focus specifically on the classwork tab because this is where we'll be building our course content. So let's click on classwork tab and get started. Now let's build our course. For this example, we'll be creating a Skincare Mastery Advanced Technique course. So what you want to do is click the Create button in the Classwork tab. You'll then see a drop-down menu with options like Assignment, Quiz Assignment, Question, and Material. You'll also see the option to create a topic, and this is where we'll start. A topic represents a module or a unit in your course. For example, in our course, the first topic will be understanding skin types. So let's add that as our first topic. Once you've typed that in, you then want to click add. You now have your first module. From here, you can start adding content under this topic. For example, you can upload a video introducing skin types, attach a PDF handout titled Skin Types and Matching Cleansing Products, and even embed a YouTube video. Each topic you create will follow the same process. For example, the next topic in our course will be called Facial Massage Techniques, where we'll add resources like a demonstration video and practice guides. And as you can see, as you start adding your topics, what happens is the last one that you save then sits above it. So you will then need to maneuver and move things around. So in order to do that, all you're going to do is just drag and drop. And there it is. Understanding skincare types is at the top. As you add context, keep your course structure clear and logical so students can easily navigate through each module. Whilst adding your content, remember that Google Classroom allows you to include a variety of interactive elements. For example, under each topic, you can add a question to spark discussion or gather student feedback. You can also use Google Forms to create an interactive quiz that assesses students' understanding. And you can also add a link to Google Meet sessions for live Q&A and practical demonstrations. You may even have a section where there's group work, and you may want to add Google Doc to it, and every student will be working from that Google Doc. There's so much things that you can do in Google Classroom. These tools help make your course dynamic and engaging for your students. So what I'm now going to do is start adding some lessons under the topics. So what you need to do is go back to create, and what we're going to do is add one that's called material. Whilst this opens up, what I want to talk to you about when it comes to when you're adding these features to your classroom, they all have the similar structure. So there'll be a section for title, description, which is optional. Then the section below is where you can add attachments. And these attachments are the multimedia element, the engagement element. So you can upload anything from your Google Drive. So your Google Drive in your cloud storage is part of your Google account. You can then add or embed YouTube videos. So once we click this, it'll actually take us to a YouTube player, and we can type in topics of interest or even copy a link of a YouTube video. You can click create. This create button will give you the option to include Google Docs, slides, forms, etc. So anything from the Google Suite. Or you can use upload to upload directly from your desktop. Or if you found a link on a website, you can embed the link as well. You will find a structure on any of the elements that we use when we're creating materials and lessons and assignments in Google Classroom. What I also want to show you on the right hand side, you will see here where it says assign to. This is where you can assign it to all your students or individual students when you have more than two, of course. And then here you've got topics. So this is based on the topics that you've created. So I'm going to click here, and straight away I want to make sure whatever I'm creating in this section is going to sit within the understanding skin types. So now I'm going to create my first lesson. So after you've created information for your first section, obviously you'd have it in more detail. There are a couple of things to be aware of. If you're creating your course from scratch and you do not have any students, feel free to post it, because once you've posted it, it becomes live in your Google Classroom. But if you do have students and you're creating a new class and you don't want them to see it yet, I'd recommend saving this as a draft. Anything that's saved as a draft is not visible to anyone else apart from yourself or any other co-teachers that you add to your classroom. So in order to do that, we're going to go towards the top where it says post. Go to this button for save options. Here's where you have the option of post, schedule, save draft, or disregard. I'm going to save draft. And what that does now, it sits it right underneath the topic. So what I want to now do is create my next section. So I wanted to do an example that I created a section and I actually forgot to add it to topic. So if this happens, what will happen is just that it sits outside of any of your topics. So all you need to do is click on it, click the three dots, click edit, and then go into topic and edit. Or you can drag and drop. You've got a few options. You could drag and drop it into the section or go back into it if you're going to continue editing. So I just wanted to show you how that looks. And at the moment, that's just 3 technical lessons that your students are going to have to go through. The next module, I'm actually just going to outline it all, is for my facial massage techniques. So very similar to the first, we're actually going to have a learning objectives for it and a content section. So because we've already got a learning objective, one that we've created before, instead of having to retype this, we're going to duplicate it and just technically edit it. So in order to do that, so one of the great things about Google Classroom is that it saves us time. if we click create and go to reuse post, we can now make sure that if you have, by the way, if you have more than one on Google Classroom, you need to make sure that you find the right Google Classroom for the content you want to duplicate. So I'm going to go to Advanced Skincare Mastery, and I know what I want to duplicate is learning objectives. So we'll open it up, and this is where you can set, when you click reuse, set which topic it sits under, and also you can edit it as well. So it's opened it up now, and now I want to move it and put it into facial massage technique. And I also want to slightly change this. So it's going to be the learning objectives for facial massage technique. And I want to do one more lesson on the facial massage technique. And I'm going to go to create material. So this particular one I've created is a walkthrough, so it's a demo technically. So if you have created videos or any useful resources, this is where you can add it. So what I will do if I'm creating video content to use in my classroom, if you don't have your own video hosting site, you can actually upload it to YouTube within your YouTube account and make sure that the video is set as unlisted so that it's not available for others to watch. And then all you need to do to add that video into your lesson or your material is click YouTube, and then if you have the link for your video, you paste it in here. But we don't have a video. I'm actually going to find content that relates to what I'm looking for. So I'm going to type in, and then what you'll find is all the YouTube videos related to facial massage technique. Also, be very careful of the content that you share within your course. I will definitely watch them and just make sure that they're credible and it aligns with your goals. So for this, we're just going to add one, just for the sake, because we're doing a tutorial. But what's great, when you do click on one, you can actually watch them directly in this window, just to check and make sure it's fine. And if you're happy with it, you're going to click add. And then once you've added it, it also lets you know how long it is. So if you missed the length before, once it's been added, it will say it's a 9-minute video, which is perfect. So what I want to suggest in your description is actually to give your students instructions on what they need to do. So in this lesson, I have asked my students to watch the video, and I've made sure that I tag which video that is, especially if you've got a number of videos in your material. Then step 2, to ask them what their key takeaways were, and then to practice the routine on themselves. So this is a really great way to kind of structure. So first of all, they need to take in information. Next, they need to reflect on that information. And the third is where they practice. So you may want to do that depending on what your topic is all about. So I've made sure that I placed it in the right topic. And for now, I'm going to save. And as I scroll down, you can now see that our course structure is coming together. For this tutorial, I'm just going to create 2 units instead of going into 3. What I'm now going to do within the facial massage technique, as well as the walkthrough and the learning outcomes, which I need to put in the right order, there's going to be a live component. They need to actually attend a live class. So what I want to do is create material again and provide that information. And then for your live class, you definitely need to make sure that you provide some information, what it is. You may also want to attach a workbook, so you can either create it in Google Doc, or if you've created the workbook on Canva, you can upload it, or if you want to embed the link, you can do any of these things. But you definitely want to add resources and materials. So what I want to first and foremost do is let them know where this session is going to be held. So we're going to use Google Meets. It's going to be for an hour. I'm going to give the date, the time, and then I'll also make sure that we add the link. So I have another video where I show you how to create your Google Meets invite via calendar. The reason why I have to do it via calendar is because we're using a free personal Google account. So it doesn't allow you to generate a link in Google Classroom. Whereas if you had a Workspace professional account on the standard subscription and above, you can generate your Google Meets link directly in your Google Classroom. I have a separate video for that. So for now, provide the information. So when I come back, you see all the information that they need to attend the class. I've now created my live class invite on what the live is going to cover, the date, the time. Once I have created the meeting in my Google Calendar, I'll place the link here, and I've also attached a workbook. And then I'm going to make sure that it's sitting in the right topic, and then save. Another really cool thing that I want to show you is also how to add a quiz. There are several ways that you can assess your learners in Google Classroom. So I'm going to go to the elements. So you have quiz, assignment, question, and there's another third option which I'm actually going to use. But let's say you wanted to ask just one simple question. You can literally click question. You can ask your question and you can make it a short answer or make it multiple choice. So this is a great icebreaker if you just want to test their understanding or even find out how often they cleanse. This is not graded and doesn't need to be added anywhere. I'm going to place this in a topic. I'm going to make sure that it's not graded. I'm not going to give it any dates because anyone can answer at any time. And then click save. So this is technically my course. Of course, I would add more topics, add more sections to it. But the last thing I want to add to one of my topics is my quiz. So it's almost like my summative quiz or end of unit quiz. So in order to do that, all we're going to do is first and foremost is not use any of these elements. We're just going to create a material because in this particular quiz, we're going to use Google Forms. So with Google Forms, the way it works is that if you go to the create button, remember I said if you click on here, it gives you all the options of all the Google apps that you can integrate into your lesson. So your Google Docs, you can add it, you can add a new one. So when you click create, this is actually add in, or you can create a new one or find it from your Google Drive. But we're going to go to Google Forms, and I've actually created a Google form with a post-session quiz already. But you see, once you click on create, it creates a new form from scratch, and then you can create your form. So I wanted to show you how that looks. So let's go back. Once you click that, it automatically starts and it shows that you've got a Google form. What we're going to do, instead of creating a new one, I'm going to upload one that I know is already saved in my drive. So I'm going to click on Drive, and this will open up everything that's saved in my drive for that Google account that I'm using for my Google Classroom. And I'm going to find the quiz that I previously created. So as you can see, I started one, but the one that I created previously is this one, and I'm going to click Add. And now you can see we have a embedded form. In this section, you want to give instructions about this quiz. If it's graded, how many questions, how long it's going to take them, etc. So once you've done all that, we're going to click, actually, before we go, we're going to place it into facial massage techniques, and we're going to add and save as a draft. This is how I've structured my course so far. I would obviously go into all these sections, go into more detail, provide all the information our students need, embed more videos, more forms, more questions. But this is the beauty of Google Classroom, which is for free. It looks clean, nicely polished. And then once you have finished all the courses and you're happy with the way they look, and you're like, yes, it's ready for our students, you technically need to go one by one into each and make sure that, so let's go into edit, go into each one. So this is where once you have finished and you're happy with the course, all you're going to do is schedule. So I'm going to click this option here, and I would schedule it to be all released at a particular time. So if I'm basing it on everything being ready for my students, I'll schedule it all for the same date. So I'm going to show you something. So you've got the date and you can also schedule for the time. Once you've done that, you select schedule. I just want to show you how that looks. And then you see the difference. This shows you what's been scheduled and what's still technically a draft. Another thing that I want to show you is once you start having students in your Google Classroom and you've created new content, and maybe some of the content's not for all students, you can actually click here where it says assign to. I don't have any students, so if I had more than one student before, I could assign it to a specific student. But as you start getting students in your Google Classroom, if you're creating specific content for students maybe that have started 2 months into the program, or maybe day one, you might create a specific topic for them. You can click here and then you can assign it to a particular student, or you can click assign to all students. So that's how that works. My last recommendation to you is as you create your course, I would recommend also adding someone as a student. So if you have another Google address, add that Google address as a student so you can see what it looks like on the other end from when you publish one, from when it's unpublished, so that you've got a better idea of what your students are seeing. And that's it. You've now created your first course in Google Classroom, complete with topics, multimedia content, and interactive elements. Those other elements such as adding links, adding Google Docs, I would suggest that you just play around with all the features. Do not add any students to your class until you have a better understanding of how it all works. And also make sure that you plan out your course creation before you start trying to post it on Google Classroom, because it makes your life so much more easier. Just a final reminder of the use of Google Classroom. Remember, it's designed primarily for educational use only, meaning it's perfect for managing your course, your content, engaging your students, and teaching effectively. Remember, it does not come with commercial license, so it cannot be used to sell your courses. With that in mind, think of Google Classroom as a tool to manage and deliver rather than a platform to sell your courses. You should have another platform for that. So whether it's going to be directly on your own website or maybe another tool that helps you with creating sales pages so you can actually sell your course. Before we wrap up, let me give you a sneak peek into what's coming in part 4 of this series. We're going to dive into how to create assignments and rubrics in Google Classroom. So this is great for those that are going to be delivering courses that come with assessment criteria. Maybe you're going to be delivering a course from an awarding body that requires your students to complete assignments. Also, this is going to be a crucial step in assessing your students effectively and ensuring your teaching aligns with the learning goals. I'll show you how to craft clear, structured assignments that provide direction for your students. We'll also explore how to build rubrics, which makes grading simple and transparent whilst giving students clear expectations. I'm also going to share a bonus on how to use ChatGPT to generate rubrics content quickly and professionally, saving you time and effort. I can't wait to see you in part 4. There's going to be another valuable session to help you build and refine your academy.